Hi and welcome back to Classic Vinyl Top 10s. Today we're doing the final countdown of the top 100 songs of all time, in my opinion of course, and we're doing from 25 to number 1, the big one. Remember, it's one song per artist, and judging by other people's lists, about 20 of this 25 will either be controversial or very unpopular. But it is my list, and it's not a popularity list. Just let me know in the comments below. I'm sure you will. I've had some fantastic comments so far, so thank you again for all of those. If you're interested in any of this, kindly leave a like or subscribe, share, all that stuff. Keep the channel going. And by all means, if you've got other ideas of what sort of countdowns you want me to do, a couple of people have mentioned a drummer's list or even a rap hip hop list for the elderly. That's quite possible. Just let me know. Okay, let's get started. By the way, for those people who spotted the horrendous noise on one of the videos, thanks for giving me some tips. I've moved the laptop miles away, and I'm just reading off paper when I need to check release dates and all that sort of stuff, so hopefully it's better. Okay, number 25. Let's start. 25, from one of the best albums ever, I think, Joshua Tree. This is In God's Country from U2. It's the Edge's soaring riff, another one. Brings in the glorious Bono vocals from the excellent Road Trip album. This is just a 12-inch. I think, was this an import? Might have been an import. In God's Country by U2 at 25. 24. Okay, you might not be expecting this one, but it is brilliant. If you haven't heard this and you don't often listen to this type of music, you know, just give this a play. This is Vesta la Giubba. I can't even pronounce it, but it's a tenor aria, and it's from Pagliacci by Leon Cavallo. It is, I don't know, it's just a superb vocal. It's a great tune. But this is Carreras. I could have chosen the big lad. They're all big lads, aren't they? I could have chosen Pav, but I prefer this actually. It was written in 1892, believe it or not. And it's a fabulous delivery by Carreras. I've no idea what they're on about, by the way, but it's a magnificent vocal and orchestration. Do give it a go. It's from Pagliacci, Leon Cavallo's Pagliacci, and it is the fantastic Vesta la Giubba. I can't pronounce it. Look it up. It's a famous tenor piece. I adore it. Number 24. 23, slightly different. From Carreras to Eddie Vedder even. This is Pearl Jam, and from 10 I've chosen 1992's Jeremy. The bass riff and the cymbal work lead into Vedder's majestic vocal about poor old Jeremy, and from the excellent 10 album. That's Vedder, Pearl Jam. 22 from 1972. This is another toughie. Which of this guy's tracks do you choose? But the vocal harmonies and intricate acoustic riff sold it to me. It could have been anything off Gold Rush or Live Rust, but I've chosen Old Man. Fantastic song. Ronstadt and Taylor are on backing vocals apparently, and just kick and snare on drums. But Old Man, Neil Young. 21. Okay, the start of the riffs. One of my favourite riffs. It was voted 5th best metal riff ever by Guitar World. I think it's West Coast rock at its best. It is Van Halen. It is Ain't Talking About Love. It's Eddie's riff. I think it just gets me. The production, the opening riff, you just pay attention as soon as you hear Eddie, and Ain't Talking About Love is my standout track from the debut album. Okay, from the west coast to north north of Yorkshire here. This is The Fall and Cruisers Creek. You like I say, you don't have to think that every Fall track is the same. Yet there are obviously things that are the same: chaos, disorganisation, vocals coming in whenever. One drummer, two drummers, who knows? But this is 1985. It could have been Smile for me or Wings, pre-Bricksmith, but it's Cruisers really that did it for me, and really got me into the Fall and started exploring them backwards, and then following them ever since. And this is not long after Bricksmith joins, and just slants the band, takes the band in a slightly more commercial direction, and I think for a period it worked wonderfully well. So The Fall, Cruisers Creek. Number 19, somebody I haven't mentioned on these lists as yet, many would say unfairly, but this is from 1966. It's So Delicate. It's Art Garfunkel's fantastic reverb vocal over Simon's delicious understated guitar. Brave lyricism even for the 60s, and it is For Emily Wherever I Might Find Her. There's a couple of live versions floating around as well, but I think the original is the best. Simon and Garfunkel in at 19. If you've been watching my lists, you'll know I love this band, and I'm probably the only person in the country who still does, but Hot House Flowers, no, that's unfair. Hot House Flowers, If You Go, from 1988. The sensational sounding acoustic intro with wailing sax leads us into Liam's harrowing vocal. Then excellent drums, high in the mix, and the bass enter. If You Go, it's a forlorn, longing song. It just sounds so real, genuine, and like I say, I've mentioned this album before. I love this album. If you like an Irish tilt to your pop rock, this is certainly worth a listen. Hot House Flowers, If You Go. Number 17, one of the biggest bands, and I mean that by band members, one of the biggest bands of recent times. This comes from 2017, and it is the excellent Arcade Fire with Everything Now. It's the jaunty opening keys bringing the tragic story, wonderful band of players, contemporary tale of caution, some excellent little stops, including when the big chorus comes in, a choral group, Daddy Why You Never Home. Yeah, fantastic song. I'm not usually led by lyrics, but I think the lyrical job on this is fantastic. The creation of the song and its integral bits, it's really well put together, and I love the little drum fill in there if you can spot it. It's very clever. Arcade Fire, Everything Now, from 2017. Number 16, again someone who we haven't mentioned on any of these lists to date, and this comes from 2016. And I'd heard the first album, and it grabbed my attention because it had a very sort of 60s retro sound, and then I think next time I think it was the soundtrack to HBO series, um, about middle class Americans near Monterey. The sea, the coast was beautiful, and Michael Kiwanuka's Cold Little Heart just matched it perfectly. The wonderful wavering intro, then Michael expresses himself. Magnificent. I almost chose Love and Hate, which is on the same album, but Cold Little Heart, 2016. Catch him live if you can, he's still touring. Number 15, you all know this. It's again fits into the category What a Riff, and this is yeah, they had to be on here somewhere, and I chose Vacant. The Sex Pistols, Pretty Vacant. It's just a wonderful riff. Cook joins Jones with thumping drums to introduce Johnny. Any of the first three singles could be here, and I might have mentioned this before, but I remember when these singles came out, and I had to get them by mail order. You couldn't just pop down WH Smith and say, "Can I have that Sex Pistols number, please?" So it was all part of a different, or the start of something. Well, we know it was the start of something. Pretty Vacant, No Fun on the Other Side, Out of Interest. So, in terms of the influences, you've got to remember the Stooges. So, the Pistols, like 'em or love 'em, hate 'em or love 'em. They're English. They were fantastic. It's not so much the album. I think it's the first 3-4 singles that were just amazing. Just what we needed, some say. Number 14, one of my favourite bands, as you know. This comes from 1983. Creative guitar parts bring in Leslie Wood's exuberant vocals. Pete Hammond brings it in. The drums just raises the creativity a notch. This is the Au Pairs, and this is Diet. Am I covering it? Yeah, Diet. It's, I don't know quite what it is. It's simple. It's hard hitting, and that's before you even get into the hard lyrics about domesticity and the role of the female. But it is a super song. I love them live. I love the LPs. They just split up too soon, with really only 2 full albums worth of songs. The Au Pairs, Diet. Okay, number 13. We're getting close now. Number 13. Hope you're still with me. This is from 2007. It's those haunting keyboards bringing in Alex Turner's vocals. The excellent rampant drum track begins to build before it fades away temporarily. This is 505 from the Arctic Monkeys from 2007. I remember going to see a tribute to them not too long ago, and I noticed they hadn't got keyboards on stage, and I was really dying to go to the loo. I might have drunk a shandy or two, and I was desperate to go to the loo, and I thought, they're not going to play 505, they haven't got any keyboards. So I went to the loo, and of course while I was in the loo I heard the keyboard sound of the beginning of 505, so I rushed back, and the keyboards were just hidden somewhere in the background. I don't know why, but 505, Arctic Monkeys, brilliant. And a festival banger, of course. Not that I've seen them themselves. Number 12, another hugely underrated global artist, in my opinion. I've said before, this guy released the first ever CD single, if you believe some people. Some people think it was Dire Straits. This is John Martin, and Angeline is the track I've chosen from 1986. It's a beautiful Japanese-like atmospheric soul search by Martin, singing pained and gruff, and a bit like Bowie in the sense that this guy just releases every bloody version he's done of a song. And so I don't know how many versions of Angeline that I've got, but it's double figures certainly. And it's like Bowie, there's so, and particularly now with Bowie's estate releasing so much, you can find 20, 25 versions of the same song easy. Anyway, Martin's a bit like that, but Martin does them so differently. He really does. Like I said before, it could be by himself acoustically. He could be playing with a super slick band. He could be really off his game. He could be off his tree. It just depends. But anyway, this is I think it's also on, it is. It's on Piece by Piece, Angeline, which isn't one of his generally most respected albums, but it's probably the one that got me into Martin. And then you go and discover all the other stuff. And like I say, you do not have to be a folkie to like Martin, so give him a go. Where are we? Okay, number 11, getting closer and closer. Number 11, one of my favourite bands. You won't be surprised to hear this lot in here. I've chosen this from 1978. It's just repetitive rock riffs are their speciality. No one does it better. The Youngs build this up nicely. And it's one of Scott's best vocal deliveries, I think. So this is AC/DC from Power Age, and it's Down Payment Blues, which I think should get more fan attention, really. It's just another superb riff from Power Age. God bless them. Okay, top 10. God, nightmare. If you've seen some of my earlier videos, you might realise that I said what a nightmare it was trying to get 100 of these together. And the stats, for those people who are interested in this sort of stuff, I've got an Apple library, old iTunes library, of approximately 16,000 songs that I like. And for those of you who use it, you know you can rate these songs 1 to 5 stars, and in my library I only keep stuff from 3 stars, 4 stars and 5 stars. The 2s and 1s I ditch. Anyway, to cut long story short, from these 16,000 Apple songs that I keep, I scored 858 songs as 5 stars. So from this 858 songs that I love, I had to get them down to 100. Seriously, I've lost time. I will never get that time back. I've lost time. Anyway, I do it for you. I do it for you all. He lied. So from this 858, we've got down to 100. And as I've said, tomorrow's list will probably be a little different to today's list and yesterday's list. It's great fun on the one hand, but it just takes so much time fanning about. Should this one be in? Should this one be 101? Should it be 99? And when you get down to the top 10, it's even worse. It really is even worse. This stuff's been going round and round my head. Anyway, I hope you find something in here that you haven't heard before, and you play something new and you find your new favourite band. I don't know. Anyway, who's in at number 10? It is from 1985. It is Killing Joke. 2 mixes. Killing Joke, Love Like Blood. It's those aggressive keys and guitar, they threaten from the outset. Then the chugging bass line brings in Coleman's haunting voice in another song about decay. It's brilliant. Just whoever recorded those keys, I can't remember who recorded it, but it's classic hair standing on the back of your neck stuff. 1985, Killing Joke, my 10th favourite song of all time, apparently. Number 9, this one's an epic. It comes from 1984, and it's the story of a 17-year-old Russian soldier, never kissed a girl, going to war against the Russians. No, against the Germans. He is Russian. I'll get it right in a minute. This is the Waterboys, and this is Red Army Blues from Pagan Place. It's got a glorious sax riff, fabulous dynamics, Russian sounding atmospherics. Yeah, it's a glorious song. The American Soldier Looked a Lot Like Me. Mike Scott, another classic of his from 1984, Red Army Blues. Number 8. Okay, pretty different, but another sparse song. I think as I'm getting older, I'm definitely picking up more of this melancholia, perhaps more piano-based stuff. Anyway, see what you think. Anyway, this is at number 8. This is London Grammar, and this is Interlude live. It says on the album, Interlude from 2013. The piano melody won me over. Could have been a fair few tracks off this album, actually, or even the second album. The vocals, Hannah's vocals are so clear, pristine. Part of Hannah's quarter-life crisis, perhaps. But yeah, again, I don't know if you guys in the States have grabbed onto this yet. Again, another English-sounding band. Worth a go. London Grammar. Okay, number 7. I'm not saying these could be in any order. These are today's order for sure. Number 7, Talk Talk. And I've chosen Happiness is Easy from the 1986 album. Magnificent, subtle, nuanced opening before dropping to Hollis's melancholic vocal. It's angst prevalent, abundant space. I mean, really abundant space for drums and bass. Just glorious. And again, this was the crossover, really, the crossover from the big synth sounds of the 80s into what would become their more reserved, would you say, more reserved period. Definitely, I could imagine the record company jumping up and down with the second phase of Talk Talk, whereas this included a bit of both. But Happiness is Easy is the one that I've chosen, in at number 7. Okay, another of my favourite bands, which you will have heard me bang on about before. This is from 1983, and it's straight in with a thrilling I can't even say the word demonic devilish guitar riff. This is the Chameleons, and A Person Isn't Safe Anywhere, from the superb debut Chameleons album. I think I'm seeing him in a couple of weeks in Bristol. I can't wait. Haven't seen him for over a year. It just works very well. It's very British rock. It's not super sophisticated. It's not smooth. It's not grungy. It's just great guitar sounds, and everybody steps up. Burgess, not the greatest singer in the world, but it all works. It just all works. The Chameleons. Okay, top 5. Top 5. Okay, so these, who haven't I included? There's at least 2 or 3 you're going to guess, maybe 4. You might guess 4 of my top 5, particularly if you've seen some of the other videos. But at number 5, a band you may have heard of from 1964. This is the Beatles, and I Love Her. This is McCartney's subdued song about Jane Asher, with a Lennon written middle 8 apparently. A love like ours will never die. George's single note acoustic single, and Ringo's on, sounds like wood blocks and congas maybe, which actually sound great. I think sounds great. The Beatles. Who else? Number 4. Okay, this is probably the one you wouldn't expect to be in here, or the band you wouldn't expect to be in here. And the Americans, I'm not even sure if they've heard of the band. This, I'm not really sure why it's always been there or thereabouts in my favourite record of all time. It comes from 1984. It's sparse piano over a scratchy guitar. The band is the Blue Nile, and the single is Tinseltown in the Rain. After the scratchy guitar, Paul Buchanan's vocal extracts a delicious melody from the underlying track. It's a thrivant, rampant feeling of love among the Glaswegian weather, not known to be the best. I can recommend the album as well, and Hats. I think that was the second album. Walk Across the Rooftops this came from, and then Hats. Blue Nile, again, if you've not heard them, give them a spin, but personally I just love this track. You wouldn't call it a dance song, it's not a, it's just got something that really grabs me, and severely underrated. They only released an album every 4 or 5 years, something like that, and you had to have like a Willy Wonka gold ticket to have seen them live. I think I don't know how many times they played live, but it wasn't a lot. Blue Nile, the Blue Nile, Tinseltown in the Rain, 1984. Okay, we come to the top 3. Doing my head in, am I changing my mind as I speak? I don't know. Could this be in any order? No, but I have really moved them around, so I'm going to stay true with my thinking within the last 24 hours. Number 3, it's a band you might have come across. It's Led Zepp, and it's from my favourite Led Zepp album, which is Song Remains the Same. But this particular track is only on this new release. This is the box set, and they released it in 2024, I think 2023, 2024. But this has actually got Since I've Been Loving You on it, and I strongly recommend going to YouTube and looking at the Since I've Been Loving You live video from Madison Square Garden. It was originally on Led Zepp 3. If you've heard it, you might remember the squeaky bass drum pedal all the way through it, which they kept in, but it's not on here. But Plant and Page are just staggering, I think, on this live. They're at the peak of their powers, they know it. Page isn't so off his head that the guitar solo goes somewhere it shouldn't. This to me is the bass line, the perfect bass line solo, to which you should compare all the other Jimmy Page Stairway solos to, as well as Since I've Been Loving You. So it could have been the live Stairway version from the same gig, but Since I've Been Loving You, I've decided today is the track that is my number 3. Since I've Been Loving You, Led Zepp, the live version from 1976. Okay, top 2. Who haven't I mentioned? Okay, and number 2, for some reason, this is, in my opinion, the best song for mental health. I just sometimes put this on in my phones when I'm taking the dogs out. We've got a lovely park here. And you put this track on, and I don't know what it is, but it just does something in your head. Maybe it's just my head, to be fair. But it is these guys. Radiohead, from In Rainbows. It is Weird Fishes. Don't ask me what the song's about. I haven't looked up what people are making of it. Worms, Bottom of the Sea, all that stuff. 2007. It was almost talk show host, or even 15 Steps Off Here, which I love the rhythm on. But I do adore the repetitive drum patterns on this. Then the rhythmic change and the beauty of the complementing guitar. It's a fantastic album. But Weird Fishes, I'm embarrassed to say that I got into Weird Fishes from some of the kids on TikTok. I don't know, I can't remember why it was coming up just as a thing. And I think I just overlooked the whole album when it came out because of the, if you remember, they put it online and you could pay whatever you wanted for it, which was very brave, but it's easy to be brave when you're a big band earning mega bucks, I suppose. But even so, the sort of gimmick of that, was it altruism? Was it a gimmick? I think it was definitely a bit of a gimmick, but superb album, and I think I overlooked it massively at the time. So thank you, TikTok kids, for bringing Weird Fishes back into my focus. I absolutely adore it. And like I say, mental health, classic. I know many people don't introduce lists with that as the reason for liking it. It's not the reason for liking it, but it just seems to do something up here. It doesn't make you giggle or anything, just makes you feel like calm, baby. Yeah. Okay, so number one. Now this has moved around a lot in my head, in my lists. Again, for those people who've watched some of my lists, you'll probably know who my favourite artist of all time is, and this is he. This is Bowie from Diamond Dogs, and the track that I've chosen is Sweet Thing Stroke Candidate. The opening, The Urban Landscape, Bowie's vocal dexterity on here, it surprises and intensifies, and the high notes are just astonishing. I think it was also his lowest note or something that he'd ever put on a studio album. I mean, I have so many Bowie tracks that I love, and I love some of the live versions of Sweet Thing as well. If you haven't heard Sweet Thing, because it wasn't a single as far as I'm aware, here or elsewhere, but to me it just sort of, it's like Bowie in a sentence. You get his deep vocal, you go into his high vocal. It's such a creative song. Boys, it's yeah, gets me going. Very urban, which presumably is what he's trying to do with the whole Diamond Dog things anyway. So this is from 1974. So from the 16,000 Apple songs down to the 858, it's Bowie. It was always going to be Bowie, to be fair. It's just a matter of which. And yeah, Sweet Thing Stroke Candidate. I've seen Bowie, I think only three times, and I never saw him at the right time, really. I never saw the Ziggy, Hunky, Aladdin Sane period, which would have been amazing, and I'm sure some of you have seen him, and please let me know below. But he's still the man for me, and I think he really ended on a high. The whole Black Star thing for me, because he chose different musicians, and if you believe the stories, he literally came across this three-piece jazz band in a Manhattan bar. Now, okay, it's a good story, isn't it? But the point is, they weren't the band he's been with for the last 10-15 years, and a lot of people will disagree, but I just found them bland. I thought the drummer Alford was bland. I didn't really like, unless Earl was playing, unless Earl Slick was doing a guesting, I didn't really like a lot of the lead guitars he picked later on. So to me, I'm still a 70s Bowie guy without a doubt. And okay, that's it for today's choice. I encourage somebody to do one of these lists, even though I take no responsibility for it. You're mad if you do it. But I hope you found something in here that you thought, oh, what the hell's he talking about? I might give that a listen. And if you find something that you really like, then job done. If you like it, any of this stuff, kindly like and subscribe, and I'll probably do a few more. Like I said, the one that's toying in my head at the moment is rap and hip hop for the elderly, i.e. people in my age who tend not to listen too much to rap and hip hop. I could come up with 10 really good rap hip hop songs, and I might just do that. But let me know what you think below. If you think I should be doing Namibian xylophone solos instead, then just let me know. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Cheers. Thanks ever so much. Ta-ra. Bye.